Bruce Lee died at the age of 32. Vivekanand, 39. My favorite, Heath Ledger, 28. And the point is that many of these people did not see their 35th birthday. Mozart did. Now, the good news is that many of the people sitting in the audience are well past the 30th birthday. But the bigger question is that how has it mattered? At the time of India's independence, the life expectancy that we had was shared over 32 years. That's it. In 1947, India's average life expectancy was only 32 years. Today, it is 72 years. In the last 200,000 years of India's existence and the existence of mankind, we are the longest living species. Your child will have more life expectancy than you, and you have more life expectancy than your parents. And yet, when a tourist comes to India, they struggle to see a second place beyond Taj Mahal, something built 400 years ago. Which means with all the science and technology that we have amassed in our country in the last 400 years, we don't have the second place for them to see. And if we don't, then we really have to learn back from our past. Let me introduce you to 5 models that you can adopt in your life to be more creative and whatever endeavors you have. The first realization is this, that the human body does not have the mind. The mind has the body. The human body as we see today is only 2 million years old. Or the current version of us, which is called as Homo sapiens, is just about 200,000 years old. That's about it. Whereas the human brain is a whopping 560 million years old, which means that the brain did not happen inside the body happened around the brain. And the more important part is that the brain of us, which is Homo sapiens, is smaller than the brain of our predecessors, which is Homo erectus and Neanderthals. Which means in the last 300,000 years, we have lost brain. Now, on average, the brain that we are carrying right now is about 1,300 grams. Einstein's brain was 50 grams lighter than most of the brains that we have. So 1,350 grams is the brain size that we have on a body of about 72 or 76 kilograms, which is, brain is a very small part of the body. And the only thing that we cannot transplant without changing the identity of the person is the brain. And yet it is the brain which is not comprehensively being utilized as we are talking today. Now, if I go back in past and I ask you the simple question that when you and your father, who is more physically strong? You at 35 or your father at 35? I don't want to quiz you that you would say that your father at 35 was more physically strong than you at 35. And if I date back to your grandfather at 35, your father and your grandfather, of course, your grandfather was physically strong than your father, and henceforth and so on. So much so that when the Egyptians built their pyramids close to 3,500 years back, they didn't have a pulley. Now take a moment to understand how did these people hoist these massive boulders at such a height without a pulley. You can just imagine the sheer physical strength that they had. Our ancestors used to walk close to 20 miles a day in the search of lunch and another 20 miles a day in the search of food, lest they are somebody's food. Which means every generation we are becoming physically weak, and that should really bother you, that because by that analogy, your son or your daughter is physically weaker than you. Your child is an environment which is more hostile but is physically weak. Which means that whenever technologies become more powerful, we have become more weak. And the reason is very simple, whatever we don't use, we lose. So the first assault of technology in our life is that it has made us physically weak. Now the perplexity of the situation is that we are living longer life in a weaker body. The second victim of technology is memory. Many of the people sitting before me would remember that in your college days, you used to remember people's phone numbers with the STD code, their full addresses with the PIN code. You would not only remember their birthdays, but you would also remember wishing them on their birthdays. Fast forward today, how many phone numbers do we remember? We don't. When I was traveling down to this campus, all I had to do is to follow the blue line. And lo and behold, whatever time Google dictated an hour back, I was there at the very minute. Now, because I'm following the blue line, I don't develop a spatial memory. And as a result, what we are really losing out, which is a very, very big sign of concern, is that we do not have memory power. If I give you data right now, without writing that data down, you will be really struggling to remember it at a later point of time. Because we are not looking out and developing a spatial understanding of the road, the signages, the places, we cannot navigate the same path nth time, and lest technology gives up on us, we are really stranded. Which means the first assault of technology is our physical strength. The second assault of technology is our memory. And guess what? In the audience sitting before me, every fifth person will be a victim of dementia and Alzheimer's, not because you are poor and not because you can't afford medicine. It's precisely because you are not poor and that you can afford medicine and that you can afford technology and that you want to remember things, including your own passwords, which now, thanks to OTP, is eased out of your memory. So the first victim is physical strength. The second victim is memory. The third victim that really made us Homo sapiens and we took pride in is intelligence. If I ask you right now what is 32 multiplied by 76, you will shudder. But the same thing you would have lapped up very gleefully as a child. And the reason is that the moment we talk about complex mathematics, we tend to outsource it to the calculators, the computers, and then to the AI. And the funny thing is this, it is not that you don't find a need to do it, there is a point of time when you would not be able to do it. Long divisions is something that we often struggle to do, which something as a 5-year, 5th standard student, you'll be pretty much happy to do. Let me take your memories back to the year 1997. And one of the things that humans were terribly proud of is the game of chess. And we thought that chess is something that is the epitome of human intelligence and no other bloke can defeat humans on chess. And right at the top of the World Trade Center, there was a match happening between Garry Kasparov, the world chess champion, and IBM's Deep Blue. And guess what? Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov. And Garry Kasparov made a very prophetic statement that day. And the statement is so much ingrained into our ways of thinking. And Garry Kasparov said, I lost my fighting spirit. That was 97. Garry Kasparov, the world chess champion, has grown old, but technology hasn't grown. So technology has taken away physical strength from us. Technology has taken away memory and the need for having memory from us. And technology, rightly so, is replacing natural intelligence with artificial intelligence. A big question that poses our generation and the generation that we are handing over the baton to is what's next? What is it that we can really protect from invasion of technology? And my submission to all of you is that there are only two things that can really qualify us to be truly humans. The first is empathy, and the second is creativity. Yes, machines can't be empathetic. Machines can have sympathy. They can have pity, but they can't have empathy. Machines cannot anticipate your emotional state, least of it respond to the emotional state, and at the same time, machines cannot be creative. If you throw enough Van Gogh's painting to a machine can still produce something eking of Van Gogh's creation, but to judge whether it is absolutely creative or not, that is still a human judgment. So the question that I have back to you is that what amount of day are you really spending in being empathetic and in being creative? And the funniest thing is this, that as scores of people are trying to make machines more human, the irony of the situation is that humans have become more machines. So let me give you some tips that you can apply on a daily basis to bring more empathy and more creativity to your life. Because minus empathy and creativity, believe me we are really witnessing a dismal path. Because our children will be living longer, the youth of today will be retiring at the age that I can't fathom right now, and yet we as teachers, educators, leaders have the audacity to claim that what I'm teaching in my class will survive my child till the year 2065. And frankly speaking, you have no idea what the year 2065 is going to look like. You do not know what's going to be the global temperature. You do not know what is going to be India's population. You do not know what hostility would be. You do not know the boundaries of India. And you do not know the state of affair of the nation. And hence, the important thing is humility. So think of a pyramid in your head. And this is, I'm talking of the youth in the audience and the youth inside you, regardless of your age. Because on average, all of us will be seeing our 75th birthday. It's a different matter altogether. We might be cutting the cake alone, with our grandchildren on the voice call, and with the people around us having long given up on us. And yet our bodies haven't. Our mind might have, our bodies haven't. So the first thing that we need to bear in mind to be able to utilize this long life. Because when people like Bruce Lee, Alexander the Great did not see their 32nd birthday, Vivekananda died at 39 rather, we are enjoying a long life, but are we making it count? And as the bottom of the pyramid is the imperative of being physically fit. I know of many people who claim that I want to retire at the age of 40. I haven't seen people retiring at the age of 40. But what I've read of is people dying at the age of 40. People collapsing on the treadmill, people drowning in the swimming pool, people taking a leap with their entire family from the 10th floor of an apartment just because they could not manage the stress that they created at the first place. It's pardonable. It's absolutely okay if you do not become somebody at the age of 40. But it is not pardonable if you are popping pills at the age of 40. Because your success is a private affair, but your failure can be amplified. So it's absolutely okay if you don't achieve something at 40, you can achieve at 50. So my message to youth is this: life is long, pace it well. It's absolutely okay that you are not being somebody's there at the age of 40. You can achieve that at 50, 60. But what is unfair is that if you become somebody and your health is not supporting you to enjoy the results of that. And that is the bottom of the pyramid, which is called physically fit. I wanted to carry a body which does justice to you because, frankly speaking, the only thing you carry in your entire life is your body. That's the only thing you carry. You don't carry relationships, you don't carry your rank, file, title, misgivings, forgivings, none of it. All the way to your crematory, you carry your body. And if you're not respecting your body doesn't respect you because body keeps in a score. And as Dalai Lama rightly says, that humans is a very funny creature because we spend all our money to build a body because all the money that we built was at the cost of our body. I don't want that to fail. And this is importantly critical for the youth because now they need not struggle so much. And the funny thing is this: my parents had a very tough life, and the excuse that they had of having a tough life is because I need not struggle. But somehow it hasn't happened. I'm also struggling. Similarly, all the parents sitting in the room, if you are struggling so that your child should not struggle, believe me, your child will also struggle, except you can't see his struggles. He will have his own unique struggles that you can't anticipate. So being physically fit is non-negotiable. The second important thing to be creative in life is being mentally tough. My research on creativity, which I talk about, is that every person who has ever attempted an iota of creativity in life has always got resistance. Because you are trying to change status quo, and the people who derive their power and attitude from the status quo will always throw a spanner at you. And if you are timid, if you are trying to please others, if you are afraid about people's opinion towards you, I'm very sure of it, that you cannot go the distance. Be mentally tough. Being mentally tough does not mean you're insulting people. Being mentally tough means that you are not getting insulted by people. If your objective is bigger than your petty ego, you can afford to take resistance in life. And without resistance, you don't make new grounds. So the youth of today had to be mentally tough. You need to be able to take abuse on the face, insults on the face, and rejection on the face. So being physically fit. And also important thing is that you cannot be mentally tough if you're not physically fit. Am I right? If you're physically weak, then obviously you cannot have the mental fortitude to take on the abuse the world hurls at you. The uppermost crest is called as being intellectually honest. While AI, ChatGPT, and the ilk is throwing so much of information at you, don't mistake information for knowledge, and least of it knowledge for wisdom. You need to know at all point of time what you do not know. Knowing your limits is about being intellectually honest. It's absolutely okay that you go out publicly admit that I do not know, but also have the humility that I would try to know. And the cherry on the cake of this pyramid, which is being physically fit, being mentally tough, and being emotionally honest, is being restlessly creative. What I mean by being restlessly creative is that don't ask people for you to change things. You have to go out and change things. Because the funny thing is this: at 1.3 billion people, India is cutting a sorry figure both on Olympics and Olympiads. There are 5 numbers of medals won by a department at Stanford University, more than the entire country put together. And the reason is very simple, that we are not channelizing our energies into the right direction. So my message to the youth via this platform will be very simple. You have this incredible gift given to you that you are born in the right century, in the right country, in the right environment. Don't abuse it. The kind of resources and access which has been bestowed upon this generation can either result into massive destruction or massive creation. And if creation is the way forward, then the recipe is respect your body, because your body need to respect you for the long life that you have in front of you. Be mentally tough. It's absolutely okay that you're a minority, but you are correct. Hold to your ground, because creation is not easy. Creativity is democratic, creation is autocratic. Only few people create, though creativity is pervasive. And have the fortitude to know what are your limits, know when you are wrong, and admit it politically and publicly, because the only person who is carrying the memory of your failure is you. People move on. So I hope this stays with you. Thank you so much.